Hello, I'm back. Now I've got as far as this with the bird, but I thought I'd include you in the next part. I've done the pinwheels here, and the satin stitch, and this is chain stitch, all the little pinwheels. So I've only used chain stitch, pinwheels, and what did I say? Satin stitch on this so far. Now this is very, very tiny. It's very intricate. So I thought I would collage that or put applique on it. So I went through the lace, my lace box, and I found this. It's actually part of a large circle, but I've taken half of it, or maybe a quarter of it even, and it's the perfect shape, I think, for putting there. So I'm going to trim that down, and I'm going to use that for the bird's breast. I don't want to cut the stitches, so very, very carefully I'm going to trim around it. So this will be a mixed media. Just going to trim that little bit off there. Right, I think that will do. Just a little bit around there. Now to hold it in place, because now the paper has taken quite a battering, I'm going to try to not use pins if I can help it. So I'm just going to tack this in place, only a tiny bit, because we need to sew through it, with a tiny bit of the Pritt stick, the glue stick, and I'm going to hold that down. There, so we now have a nice shape for the bird's breast. Right, I'll give that time to dry. Now this part up here is actually, how can I describe this, was actually worked on another piece of paper, cut out and put down. So if you notice here, there aren't any stitches. That is because that bit is like a collage. That piece has been collaged on over the tree. So just give that time to dry. Now with the other, I have other pieces of lace here, and I thought I might perhaps incorporate these somewhere. Oh, now that looks quite interesting. To take that over the bird, or perhaps that piece there. Right, let me just trim this down to see what sort of shape we can get from this. These pieces are all from the same piece of net. It's really beautiful, and I hate cutting into it, but what am I going to do? It's like the book issue, the issue with the books. Cutting into them and, oh, is it wrong? Is it right? And it's just so difficult. But I've decided it's okay. It's okay. I had to talk with myself. It's fine. Right, that might actually go there. Yes, I think that might... Yeah, that, I think that looks good. So I'm going to just tack that down a little bit as well, and I will possibly sew these down as one shape. The what I'm appliquing now, I will probably do that as one shape. Now I also have these lovely, lovely flowers. This is from a different piece of net. I don't know if you can, if the camera's picking up. There are beads on this. You know, I don't think you can see the beads, but it's really beautiful, this. And I'm wondering if I can pop some of this in somewhere, or will I be overdoing it? Or can you overdo it? So I think the best thing, oh, I don't know, it might go nicely there. Well, it might go nicely there. So I'll just pop those out of the way. Right, that should be good to go now. So just going to very quickly sew these down. Right, the paper's holding out really well, because as you can see, for each of these flowers, for each of these pinwheels, I've had to crease it. So it's doing really well. There have been no tears. So keep your fingers crossed, because you know what happens the minute you say these things. Then it's, whoops, there's a tear. Right, so all I'm doing is a running stitch. Is that on as big as it'll go? Oh, lovely. So now I'm doing a running stitch around the shape of the bird, and it's quite a big running stitch. This piece doesn't need any more embellishing, because it's embellished enough. It's manufactured, obviously, if you can see, and these are machine satin stitches. So they are satin stitches, but they're machine. And running stitches, oh no, that's I've just realised they're running stitches, machine. I'll move that out of the way, because it's a bit distracting having chunks of lemon staring at you. I just love lace. And that's another piece. It's net. I think that's more a netting. It's a kitchen, part of a kitchen curtain. Once again was donated to me. And I think, oh my goodness, these people donating all this stuff. Don't they just want to sit and look at it? Just hold it and spend hours just looking at it, getting lost in it. But obviously not, no. Our son came round the other night, and his girlfriend said, oh, you know what you've forgotten? And my son looked amazed, and she said, you've forgotten all those shirts for your mum. So I have more shirts coming, which is exciting, because his shirts are always so lovely patterned. I've used bits of them already in this journal. I've used some, so I'm looking forward to that. Right, so that is the piece for the bird. See, that's already stuck down. And don't worry about fussy cutting it to fit exactly. Don't do that, because you can see through the lace of the net. You can see the shape of the bird, and it just adds to its charm, I think. So just going to take this now, same colour that I coordinate, because actually there are enough colours on there already. Although as far as I'm concerned, you can't have enough colours. You just can't have too many colours. Although I do remember my art teacher at school, when I was, I suppose, about 18 or maybe a bit younger, having a word with me and saying, you're wearing too many colours and they're all clashing. What you need to do is one main colour and then small bits of other colours. And I felt like the bee's knees, in bright blue and bright red and bright pink and a little bit of lemon. And then I had some shoes, and the shoes were divided. They were heeled shoes, so I'm going back to the 70s with the big heels, and I think they were even platforms, and each section of the shoe was a different colour. They were red, blue and green, and oh my goodness, I felt like the bee's knees. I mean, they couldn't have been that wonderful, because I only ever saw one other person wearing those shoes, so I have a feeling they didn't sell too well. I'm not sure my mum and dad were impressed either when they said, go and get yourself a nice pair of shoes for school. Well, by then I was in the sixth form and there was no uniform. The sixth formers had the privilege of not wearing a uniform. So hey ho, there you go. Saw these beautiful shoes and bought them. But I always had pink shoes, blue shoes. Just love them. Now it's just commonplace, but going back then, I remember when I started university, I was walking through a certain town in the southeast of England, art student, and I had a maxi coat on, and it was yellow, and green tights, and a very nice lady said to me, "My dear, we don't dress like that down here." And I cheekily grinned and said, "Oh, you do now." Oh, bless her. She didn't know what to say. Now look, so in a couple of minutes we've finished that. That is finished. So all I'm going to do, I'm actually going to I think, yes, I'm going to colour those in, because I don't think the paper around these in particular will take any more stress. That's it. Now, do we actually need, or am I over egging the pudding, as my nan would say? Ooh, I don't know. I'm going to cut this out, and I'm just going to see. Oh, look at this beautiful lace that I'm ripping into. This is nice enough for a wedding dress, but I have a feeling that it's actually curtain lace. I mean, it's beautiful, but it's so beaded. It's just a shame that you can't see the beads. If you listen, they're beads. It would be very dusty. I mean, I certainly couldn't have it on my windows here, because I have a large oak tree out the front, and it's beautiful, but my windows, it's impossible to keep the windows clean. The window cleaner dreads coming, and he says he has to scrub. These are the only windows he actually has to scrub because of the sap and the dust. Oh, I'm going to put that there, I think. Or do we need it at all? Oh, I don't know if we actually need that. What I'm going to do though, where there's a join here between the collage. If you can't see it, you can hear it here. Between the collage and the background, I think I'm just going to make a feature of that as if it's supposed to be there. And I'm going to put a couple of cross stitches there, just for added interest. And it will look as if it's supposed to be there. Do you remember what I said about serendipity? That you can't make any mistakes on your work, because you just act as if they're supposed to be there. Happy mistakes. So this, once again, it adds to the charm. Now, which way am I crossing those? Right, this way. Now that is tough to get through. So there's the first one. And I ironed this as well. I ironed the back of it. I have a little travel iron, and it's absolutely ideal for this. It saves using the good iron. I keep forgetting which way I'm crossing it. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. And my daughter bought it for when we go away. As I said in an earlier video, we try to get away quite a bit, and she bought it for our travels. But you'll find in all the hotels that there are irons. So she gave it to me and said, "Here, Mum, this is just what you need for your craft work, so you don't have to keep getting the big iron out." But I have to be honest, I don't iron clothes anyway, really. Sounds slovenly, doesn't it? But doesn't seem to be any need with these super duper fabrics. Right, that's lovely. I'm pleased with that. Tie that off at the back. Now, is there anywhere else I can just put a few more cross stitches so that doesn't look as if it's just been plonked there? Just need to coordinate that a little bit. It's raining out at the moment and the leaves on the oak tree are all shiny. It's very, very overcast. It looks like evening, but it isn't. It's just midday. It's very dark out there. So I just want to coordinate these so it sort of flows. So where shall I put these? Shall I put a few stitches here? Here. Yeah, I should put them here. I was going to outline the leaves, but to be honest, I don't think the paper will take any more perforations. The paper around the leaves, around the satin stitch, is now very weak because obviously there's so many stitches side by side, and for each stitch there's a hole. So it is, the paper there is badly perforated, so I'm not outlining at all. Don't actually think it needs it. Now this is the stage where I could get carried away and just sit here and mindfully just carry on stitching and suddenly look at it and think, oh my goodness, what have I done? There's far too much stuff on there. Now I wonder if I should just put a French knot in each of those. Well, seeing as I have thread here, I won't put French knot in each of these. In fact, this needle won't even go through there. So I'm just going to highlight a couple of these, and we will do French knots in one of the next videos. But for the sake of argument, French knot up through the back, through the center, twist the needle once, twice, and then back into the same hole. There's no mystery about French knots whatsoever. Now I'm just going to take it through to the back. Do it again. You can twist the thread or the needle around the thread as much as you like. Some people twist the thread around the needle, but I find it easier to hold the thread between your fingers, thumb and finger there. You can see that with the needle. 1, 2, 3. Right, I've done that 3 times now. Back through the hole, same hole, pull it. That's it. Don't pull it tight enough. I'm just going to run that down. Too tight, otherwise you'll pull the knot through your fabric or through the paper. Here we go again. 1, 2, 3. And back in. It's so easy that they are actually addictive once you get used to doing them. They're nice filling stitches. Really, I always think French knots should be used en masse, so to speak. They should be grouped together because they look better grouped together. And I'm only going to put, I think, 2 here. See, look, you'll get used to it. You might not want to hold your fabric or your paper while you're doing it. That one's a bit off center, but it doesn't matter. I like it. And the last one there, here. Now I say that's off center and it doesn't matter, and it really doesn't. If you wanted something perfect, then you wouldn't have handmade. You wouldn't make it, you would buy it. You'd buy it, something that's been made on in a factory on a great big whacking machine that's turning out yards and yards per second. So I'm calling this finished now, although, oh dear, talk about chop and change your mind, Teresa. I think it might need 1 French knot up there because that's making me feel a bit unbalanced. So I'm going to see if I can get one, and I don't think I'm going to be able to do it. Yeah, so I've made a hole there. Now let's see if I can find that hole. There we go. So one nice big French knot here, hold the fabric, 1 twist, 2, and I'm going to do 4 twists there because this flower is quite thick. I've used double thread there, strands, so there's 12 strands there, whereas some of these are only 2 and 4. I varied the amount of strands I've used for different textures. If you see, these are actually thicker. Can you pick that up? These are thicker than these, and that is all about texture. Oh, I'm not going to be able to knot that either. So that's that. Let's just snip that off, and it's finished. So that's the finished piece. All we're going to do now is pop it on the page. Have the page already open. A little bit of a trim first. Now I don't mind the raggy edges, as you know. I will just trim that off slightly, and then I'm going around that bit, and then the next thing will be to work out how to dress this page, but that'll come later on. So for the time being, I'm just going to stick it down with the double-sided sellotape. Take some of this stuff off the back so it doesn't bump. Right, double-sided sellotape. I shall do it this way this time, on the back there, and there, and there. Now if I have trouble with this, I'll turn the camera off, okay, because you have actually got the gist of this now. You do see what I'm trying to do. It's getting so dark in here that isn't helping much. Well, look, I think I might do this off camera now because that is going to take me some time, but it will go there, and that is how the page will look without that sticking through. So I'm going to carry on and stick that down, but we're calling that finished. That'll upset some people because it would me. Right, we're calling that page finished now, and the only thing that you're going to miss is me sticking it down, but that could take me 15 minutes. So that's another page finished. So I'll say goodbye here, and I hope you've enjoyed this one. It's a bit different, isn't it, sewing on paper, mixed media, slow stitch, but have a go, see how you get on. So thanks for joining me. If you like this, please like, and I'll see you again soon. Have a wonderful day wherever you are. Take care. Okay, now then, bye bye.